Call air traffic control. Check the airspace is clear. For the second time around, Jamie Elliott's taken Mark of the Year. In the match of the season, the Cats triumphed over the impressive Blues, while the form of the Lions in 2024 continues to bemuse and confuse. The Roos are up the creek with no raft. Heaney's at the peak of his craft. And Joey's been picked last in the Carlton Draft to preview a massive rivalry round. This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Castlemaine's newest recruit, Joey Montagna.
Thank you, Rabsy. Yes, it's all real now. I've got a game of footy to get in shape for, but looking forward to it.
One of Druin's greatest exports, Daisy Thomas.
Thank you, Rabbits. Very excited about being here and very excited to get the bottom of you in Castlemaine.
And I'm not sure what town he's from, but Damo's here too.
North Melbourne, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Hardcore North Melbourne. But I think you've undersold Joey there.
Yes.
Second last draft pick, wasn't it, Joey?
No, I was last.
he was
You were
last.
last. I was picked last.
Oh,
No, that's
my
all right. I was
goodness.
last in my one as well. I was
there you
picked
go.
7.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Who went before you? Lordo.
Isaac Smith, that's fair
Yeah,
enough.
he's fit.
Trent Cotchin,
Yeah.
just finished playing. Matty Lloyd,
Lordo.
that's right. And
Yeah.
then Dill Buckley.
Who got up?
Dill Buckley went before me, so I was that short little fat kid that was stuck on the wall. That was last, and they said, "Yeah, we'll take you, Joey."
Metaphorically and literally,
Exactly
unfortunately.
right. That's right.
Hey, I was the same, though. They laugh, but then you go down. You get no expectation now, so you can rock up. You'll end up saving the campaign like I did. You'll kick 7, take the side from the depths of despair and take them to a winning victory.
Were you wear the long sleeve jumper under the short sleeve
Yes.
jumper like this man
I've
did?
already
Yeah.
requested it.
Really?
I've already
No,
requested
well,
the double
be careful
jumper.
because I was a little bit more pud than I am now. The double jumper did naught favours, absolutely none. So, are you stripes at least? Are they
But Collingwood, Magpies
Ah,
colours.
that's
so
nice.
back to the original.
But you hate Collingwood.
I grew up
Yeah.
Collingwood supporter, so I go back to the original like I did in
But
the 90s when I had the Nathan Buckley
I'm
number
thinking
5.
purely vanity here. The streamline, the stripes, rather than the hoops is good.
So what's your plan? You plan to get a kick? Because some people take it really way too seriously. Some, like Kane
Me?
Corns, didn't want to be part of it.
No,
What do you do?
I'll go in with the stick that I'm just there to have a good time and do the function. I made sure I walked up on stage with the beer. Like, I'm just there to sort of have a good time. And if I get a kick, it's a bonus. And we'll see what we can do. Bendigo League, though, pretty strong league. So
It's good, though. Great initiative. Carlton Draft, good sponsors of footy in general.
Yeah,
but for
it's a
local
great
footy,
concept.
the amount of cash that gets injected back to them, everyone gets to have a good time. Well done.
all the teams were there last night. They were pumped. They're all loving it. So looking forward to it. It gives me an excuse to get in some sort of shape, Damo. We'll try and knuckle down and then give the boys some fodder to give me a bit of crap about for the next 6
we
weeks.
won't let you get away with anything.
I know.
Yeah.
We do love a shameless plug, though, as we just heard. Carlton Draft. I'm often promoting Nissan and TaylorMade
Yes.
and Adidas and
Yeah, all
Penfolds. You obviously plugging kickins.com. What about my feelers have just been put out to me that somebody has rocked up yesterday to Cobram Estate in a private jet
yes.
on a junket.
Hey.
And it wasn't you and it wasn't you,
No, it
which
wasn't
means
me.
it was purely you.
I can confirm.
Private jet operation for our man.
Damo's
nice
dish.
dope.
Damo's
Yeah,
dish.
Damo's Dish was the reason I was involved. I've got a personal sponsor of Cobram Estates, and what a beautiful product that is, and a beautiful day had.
Where is
boys.
it? Bring some in.
It's between Swan Hill and Mildura, where I was
No,
yesterday.
in terms of where the product.
No, I need to actually get a regular stream of it because I do and I have always bought it, but I now need to get some free stuff.
So who was on the trip with you?
Gaz, Kingy, Corn, and Hutchie.
Oh, a lot of
Gaz
footy chat.
Kingy Corn.
Did footy chat?
A
Or
lot
did
of
you-
footy
was
chat, but unreplayable footy chat. I reckon.
Yeah,
So
right,
one of those
okay.
ones. Yeah.
Speaking of freebies and cashies, this is your week, Dale Thomas. Carlton Collingwood coming up Friday night. Trying to cash in a little bit.
Surprisingly light on, unfortunately.
Is it?
Yeah, no, we wait for the end of the year for the big stuff. Unfortunately, I've got a pretty full calendar. But this round of footy is unbelievable. I know we'll touch on it later, but there is bums on seats clashes, the showdown into Carlton, Collingwood, Sydney GWS, Melbourne, Geelong.
Q clash.
Q clash, even West Coast Essendon's a good one, and the Saints and the Roos. These, it's going to be unbelievable.
100%. 4 cracking games. And then there are 3 teams, Damo, that essentially their season is on the line. And we'll get into that. But Adelaide is a sort of must-win if they're any chance in the showdown. Brisbane must win.
That's
And
the
then
one.
St Kilda can't have a little banana slip game, banana peel game against North Melbourne.
Nerve-wracking
and
for the
cough that
Saints.
one
Look
up
how nervous he is.
I'll tell you what. So it's a big game, big round on top of the big games you touched on.
Cannot wait.
Whose scarf are you wearing on Friday night?
I'm not going. I'm going to sit at home and watch that one. I've got netball duties before it, so I'll be.
What position do you play?
Sorry?
Netball
No,
duties.
very good point.
That's his
I
return
was a
serve
goal
for
defender.
Kickins.com.
I honestly think the Blues are going to win this one. We'll touch on it later, but I'm the only one cheering for a draw. I always say this, but I'm happy for both clubs to see who wins the game.
Well, match predictions to come later on. Fair Dinkum or Fugazi. But up next, Damo, it's your news. and you've got an idea to help fix the leadership at North Melbourne. We'll touch on that next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Dinkum or Fugazi and your round 8 game predictions still to come. But Damo, it is time for your news break. And yesterday you had an idea of how North Melbourne can fix their leadership issues.
Well, maybe fix, 'cause I don't think there's a one-stop option for them to do so. But what I did throw out there yesterday, and it is with a bit of conversation that has factually taken place, guys, over the journey. Scott Pendlebury's going to be 37 next year. I know that's a very old age for a footballer, but I've just got a view that North Melbourne's problems are varied and they are many. But it ultimately starts with the ability to try and win and be competitive in a game of footy to fix any sort of problem you've got. I just honestly feel that a Pendlebury or a Pendlebury type, and I know there's not too many like him. Travis Boak was another one I potentially threw up, maybe a Callan Wood. Maybe a combination of the three. But if they were to convince 1, 2 or 3 of those people to go into their club, it's instantly appealing to other players who are in the hitting zone age-wise to try and bring them in. And equally importantly, it's instantly appealing for what he does on the ground during a game of footy with so many young, inexperienced, and I'd say broken footballers around him. I don't expect it to be widely received and embraced, but at the same time, I wanted to get your views on it before we move on to the next topic.
I completely agree, 100%.
Yep.
I think there's real merit in it. Just having that leadership, and I would just plonk that player at halfback flank and say that's where you're playing for the whole season, and the amount of direction and support you can give your other defenders, the midfielders, the instruction would be significant. So I think it's got merit. And I know Scott Pendlebury has basically said, he said it almost 2 years ago, he wants to be playing and then go into assistant coaching role. North Melbourne, you give him a 5-year deal straight up. Maybe 1, maybe 2 as a player, but whether you can or you can't, you're staying on our coaching staff and you build a development program at our football club to a level where Kangaroos can be competitive again. Travis Boak's another good one. He's probably got more in the tank in regards to his body.
You think so, do you?
Yeah. I think so, just the way, he's a little bit younger and the way that he prepares. Probably not as strong with his on-field leadership as Pendles. But that's not to say he's not a leader, but I like it, Damo. I think it's got real merit.
Yeah, I agree in all parts of that. I think the fact that we push on and get rid of all our old players effectively as soon as they don't really have the exact currency of a younger player, or you're keeping a younger player out of the side, I think doesn't really have as much emphasis as it should in terms of on-field leadership is massive. You can have kids who've got talent, but unless they know when to defend, when to attack, somebody setting up a defence from behind the footy, it's a hard game to play and concentrate for the couple of hours you have to do it. Pendles, and I'm not sure of Travis Boak in terms of he's been more of a midfielder his entire career, whereas Pendles has that ability just to see the whole game, and we know he's interested in coaching. I think that's where you start. To do the apprenticeship under Alistair Clarkson, we've seen serve so many so well. And then for the opportunity to continue to play, because he's still a very good player if he wants to do that role. Look, that's the thing. You got to sell it to him, but the idea is a massive and a big tick. Well done.
In 2022, when McRae just got to Collingwood, and they started off, was it 4-5 or 5-4? It was an awkward start. Yeah, and then they exploded, made a prelim final, lost it by 1 point. At that stage of that awkward start, this was, I believe, put to people around Pendlebury from a North perspective, and ultimately they went down a different path too with Alistair Clarkson being appointed after that. So I don't think the conversation's been had since then, or even in a very flippant way, but it's a real possibility given they went down the Liam Shields path, and it's not a slight on him. He's just not Scott Pendlebury. He's been outstanding, what I've been told, behind the scenes. Pendlebury, I think, could play the role on field.
Does he get to the games record if he doesn't leave Collingwood?
Well, he's 10 short of it now, isn't he? 10 short of 400 now. Yeah.
And then a couple of seasons short of the record.
I don't think he gets the games record if he stays at Collingwood. His only chance for mine of getting the games record would be to go to another club.
It's not bad. Tick off 400 at the one club.
Then become the games record holder.
And it doesn't, for people who say, he should finish a one-club player, we saw with Hodgie and Grant Birchall, it does absolutely nothing to affect your legacy.
It doesn't change your legacy at all.
Stevie J.
I agree with that.
And if anything, if he goes on and has some sort of success in terms of improving the football club, it enhances it, if anything.
We saw last night, and once again, it's rinse and repeat. We go through a tribunal hearing on a Tuesday night. We talk about it on a Wednesday every single week. Last night, it was Jack Higgins being given the 3 weeks for his tackle on Alia. I haven't heard your guys' views on this. I thought it was a bit harsh on the 3. I would have been okay with 1 or 2, but I thought 3 was a bit harsh.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had no doubt St Kilda would challenge that, and I thought they probably had a pretty strong case to argue that it's not a 3 week. That's not what the rule was brought in for. and the definition of a dangerous tackle in my book, no doubt, when Aliir tried to kick it, and that was his right. He's entitled to do that. But as soon as he took one leg off the ground, the whole mechanics changes, and we understood that. And I thought that would have just been the case at the try, factored in. And
thrown out?
Yeah. Again, I don't know how this is the problem with how it all works to get down to 1 or 2. I don't know if that was possible. So
I don't
it was
think
either 0 or 3.
Yep.
So then you get caught in a rock and a hard place. I think we all would have been okay if it was 1
or 2.
And you 1 or
Max
maybe
or 2.
2. And you go, look, unfortunately for Jack Higgins, that's the way it is. But 3 stands and it's ridiculous.
Again, a massive sigh, grunt.
Yeah.
It's just an absolute shit show,
It's a
the
mess.
tribunal. It is, and that's the best way you can sum it up at the minute.
Well, yet again, though, we needed a 3.5-hour hearing of evidence and deliberation to come out with what the Matchery office said anyway. And it's determined by part-timers.
So if common sense was put there, and if the tribunal goes to a panel even, some smart players within the game, what is that actually worth? If you landed on that as 1, would you be happy?
I would have been more than
100%.
happy.
So, and common sense taken
But
in.
3 just seems extreme.
You don't have common sense with the tribunal days. It doesn't work that way.
Well, that's the issue.
Hey, Paddy Dangerfield is now going to be out for a chunk of time. I've got a view that the 6 matches that are now on the schedule for the Cats between him going down last Saturday and their bye, I don't think we won't see him in that period. You've then got a bye at that point. It'll be 8 weeks. That's roughly what they did, or it's a little bit of add-on on what they did in 2022 with a calf injury. You missed 5 in a chunk of period of time. They got him right for the period of finals. And I know he's now done 2 hammies in this season alone days. It's a problem, but when it happens in round 7, as it was, you have got time.
You do, and the good thing is they've already learned how to win without him effectively. Look, he's getting older. There's no shying away from that. The way he plays, he's still explosive, so he's going to be subject to some sort of soft tissue injuries. Is it mismanagement? I don't think so. I think the Cats are the best in the business at making sure players are right, even when they do sort of their in-season training blocks that affect slightly performance on a weekend, but then with the bigger picture, look,
it's a bloke in his 18th season
correct.
of footy.
It is just a fact that a lot of hammies are done, and unfortunately for Danger, it's him again. He's old. He'll get better. He'll be back for finals.
Could be a blessing in disguise for the Cats of him. He only needs to play 12 games
Come
before
in
finals.
fresh.
Come in, have 12 games under your belt, and then go into a final series and launch one last time. Probably makes it more scary for the Cats come towards the back end of the season.
Yep, and they've, as Days has pointed out, they've managed to win matches without him, and that's been of bigger benefit to them this season and the future as well.
Nat Fyfe, Damo.
Well, he got coaches' votes high, didn't he? And it was a form of throwback to the Brownlow medal winning ×2 of Nat Fyfe. It wasn't quite there, but clearly, guys, and again, you are the football experts in this conversation, the role he's playing now within that midfield, it was the first time in a very long time that they got that part of it right. And it's exciting for the Dockers.
The competition is so good and even at the minute in terms of talent-wise. You can't play banged up no matter how good you are. As soon as you start playing banged up, your performance isn't going to be at a level, especially when you're getting older again, and we keep saying old in terms of football, in terms plus 30. His body is good. That's why he's playing good footy. It is simple. The talent doesn't wane. The ability to do what you do is the only thing that holds you back.
Spot on. And we forget that, and I reckon we don't factor it in enough. Look at Elliot Yeo and how he's playing now that he's fit. Charlie Dixon, when he's fit and healthy, is still dominant compared to when he's banged up. I've got a view that I reckon Lachie Neale is banged up. He's got a crook ankle. His ankle's no good. But we're all saying, Lachie Neale's out of form. He's not running. Is he getting older? Is he unmotivated? You go, no. When you get over 30 and you get injuries, Daisy, we know it. It is so hard to perform at your absolute best. And we're seeing it with Fyfe and these guys when they are fit.
And the guy we just spoke about, Dangerfield, in his 18th season,
how good was he in
just
the first
about the
half?
best, the most effective player in the first
100%.
half on that ground. So just one more on Fyfe before we go to a break, Joey. The role he's playing alongside Brayshaw and Sarong, it's different to how he won Brownlow medals.
Yeah.
But it was a good role. He almost knew his role and knew his place in that space.
Well, he's top 10 in the comp for clearance, top 20 for contested possession. He's now just an inside mid-bull. So it's almost like what Chris Judd transformed his game. He was that explosive outside player, and then as he got towards the end of his time at Carlton, he was limited with what he could do, but he mastered the art of being that inside mid that could feed the ball out, and that's what Fyfe's going to do for this team.
Do you think Freo have got heaps of upside because of this? The roles that they've been cast in, so Fyfe learning a new one, not just being the mid that he was. You got Sarong and Brayshaw in there, Jager O'Meara on a wing, which is a completely different role. The continual improvement of that and understanding of their roles will see them, I think, sort of start to climb and grow towards the back end of the season.
They should be, absolutely. Yeah, they'll continue to improve. Yeah, they're still quite young too.
Doing it on the run a bit as well.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're going in the right direction.
Match predictions to come, of course. Fremantle will have a huge game this weekend against Richmond at the MCG. But up next, it's Fair Dinkum or Fugazi. Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Joey, Daisy and Damo.
Now on the Midweek Rub, it's Fair Dinkum or
Fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a...
Daisy Thomas, you took one of these on Anzac Day. Jamie Elliott's Anzac Day hanger is the best mark since Andrew Walker's in 2011.
At the MCG or just in general?
In general.
I'm going to go with Fugazi. Look, there's been some great hangers. Harry Himmelberg last year took a couple of them.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
It's a shame in one sense that it's somewhat going out of the game a little bit. Blokes flying for their marks and the amount of blokes that can do it and are permitted to, but are still one of the highlights of our game and something that separates it from every other game worldwide. When you see something like that, I got caught up, it was genuine. Yeah. Holy heck, what has he just done? He's hit the roof. It's excitement, it's bums on seats, but it's not the best mark since 2011.
There was footage of you in the Channel 7 commentary box.
Man, I was up and away. It was huge. And a big moment too.
Big moment. Damo, bear in mind the Harry Mackay 50-metre penalty on Saturday. The 50-metre penalty should be replaced by a 25-metre penalty for lesser offences.
No, that's Fugazi. I know what you're referring to with the Mackay one, but if you want to just talk about general 50, if we reduce it, it'll be rorted like every other rule is in the book. So the 50 is a deterrent, and Jake Kelly in the same game copped his right whack twice.
Damo's first thought is always worst case scenario, that everything's going to be rorted and taken advantage of. I think it's necessary now with the Tiggy Touchwood infringements that we are paying 50 metres for in a game of footy when goals are worth gold, that we're just gifting goals because of someone taking one step the wrong direction.
Don't do it.
I think bring it back to 25 metres. I think we should have two, 25 and a 50, depending on the offence.
And then down to 12 and a half for the
No,
ones that
no,
aren't
12 and a half.
25.
The umpires need more
And then
grey
6 and a
area. That's
quarter
what
for
we
those.
need.
No grey area.
No grey area.
No. 50 metres is too big of a penalty in the modern game to cough up a goal over someone taking one step.
Anyway, it was my fair dinkum of Fugazi, and it's Fugazi.
What about 32 and a half? 25's not enough.
Joey, Brisbane's season is effectively over.
No, that's still Fugazi. They can still play finals. And then, look, we know it's unlikely that a team from outside the top four is going to win a premiership. The history tells us the Bulldogs have been the only team to do it in the last sort of 20 years, but it's not effectively over just yet. So they've still got a little bit of time. But, yeah, they are pushing, up creek without a paddle?
They've got a season-defining 6 weeks. They've got Suns this week, Crows, Tigs, Hawks, Dogs, St Kilda.
Yep.
All winnable if they're at their best.
Exactly right.
Damo, we are underselling Scott Pendlebury's 10,000 disposal record.
No, that is also Fugazi. Of all the things that Scott Pendlebury's going to be remembered for and by, the 10,000 thing will not even be in the top 58. So, no, it's Fugazi, Rabs. You're on a bad strike rate with me at the moment.
These are all Rudy's ones to start with, by the way.
Did you see the sign Collingwood made him?
Oh, no.
So it's such a big deal, 10,000. They wrote it in pen a couple of times on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
They took the piss out of it almost.
Do you know what that's from? That's from the Wilt Chamberlain, the basketball that scored 100 points. There's a famous photo.
Well,
of
explain it, because I just thought they didn't give us stuff.
It's a bit of a, how would you describe it? It's like a bit of a meme thing. So Wilt Chamberlain had a thing with 100 points, and now other people, when they break a record, hold the same sort of piece of paper up.
Because I was looking at it going, geez, they don't give us stuff.
How many people are going to know about Wilt Chamberlain, Joe?
Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a game
I
of
know
basketball.
he did, but you and I might know that, but I can't imagine anyone.
I didn't.
Well, there we go. We've just explained it.
I can't get over you saying meme thing.
Yeah.
Joey, Hugh McLuggage is an A-grade midfielder.
Depends on your definition of A grade. Because I was thinking about
The
this.
best in the comp. Top
Is there
10.
an A plus, or he's just A like?
There's A and above, but is he, in your opinion, could you name 5 better than him off the top of your head?
So that's where we're just drawing a line. He's A grade, only 5 players.
5 to 10. The answer's no.
Well, I would have A pluses and then A. I would do it like a grading from school. So A pluses are your very best. So I would have him as
This is why he wants the 25 metres.
A minus. He's an A minus.
So Fugazi.
Okay, Fugazi.
Right. Is he worth 1.3 mil a year, which has been thrown around?
I'll answer that.
Again,
No.
that's all, yeah, but it's not worth. It's worth what someone's prepared to pay. If
Yeah.
you need gun midfielders, you've got to pay that money. So he probably will get that if he wants to leave Brisbane.
Daisy, Chris Scott's coaching is worth 3 goals on game day.
Yeah, that's fair income.
Oh, how can you measure that?
Because if he wasn't coaching, they'd be 3 goals worse off. Look,
That's 0.75 goals a quarter, Joey.
I reckon it's 2.5 goals.
the way that he coaches and the way that whole football club runs, I wish I had got down there at some point, especially towards the back end of my career. I think what they do for their we keep saying older players, but just they're more veteran-type players. That's the reason they have such great success and longevity for such a period of time. If Tom Hawkins was at a lesser club, a Melbourne club, I think he would have been wound up a couple of years ago. And that's just as honest and frank as I can be. I love everything they do. I love the way he coaches. He's the best coach in the competition, and I think 3 goals, he's maybe even underselling it.
Damo, 4:30 p.m. Saturday blockbusters are the way of the future.
It's a good question, Rabsy. I'm going to go fair dinkum there. I'm going to go fair dinkum there. It used to be the graveyard slot in a way of thinking, in the relatively recent past, and yet the most recent one we had, Geelong versus Collingwood, right through the roof, and I can see it working.
It's the most listened to game in terms of radio.
Is it really?
Is it?
Yeah, no, Twilight Saturday.
Sports are done for like the kids in the morning. If you want to go and watch your side, you're finished early enough to get home for dinner or go out
That's
for dinner.
That's the key, is that you can still go out.
Correct. Yeah, you can do anything. So it's a great slot, and I think it will continue to grow.
Joey, Richmond should consider trading Tom Lynch to kickstart their rebuild.
That's a good one. That's fair dinkum.
like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a club would need Tom Lynch. I think Collingwood straight off the top of my head go bang. They get the Pies. The Pies get Tom Lynch. They're probably back in contention again next year, and Richmond can get some more draft picks. I like that one.
Joey, I'm going to ask you this as well. Sam Powell-Pepper is quietly one of Port's most important players and a huge loss.
No, that is Fugazi. He's probably 7th or 8th or 9th off the top of my head on the list. So that's
B- or
so
B?
that's probably not one of the most important. He's important, but not one of the most. So I'll go. That's fair.
Cantankerous today. Aren't
Fair.
And what does that
another one
mean?
to put that down.
You've been
Good question, though.
monosyllabical.
Good question.
Damo, North should listen to Nick Revolt on Footy Talk and make Harry Sheasel captain.
There's a lot more to it than just making your best player captain. I mean, they've got to be, I think, a leader in terms of the way they command the group. They've got to be a leader in the way they prepare Monday to Friday. But assuming he ticks those boxes, then, yeah, I don't have a problem with making a 20-year-old captain. I think you could lighten the load for him a little bit early with perhaps a Nick Larkey if he's in the same boat. But, yeah, absolutely. Put him in there. Give him the reins.
That is absolute Fugazi. I know Wayne Carey was 21 or thereabouts when he got it, and David Dench was 20 or 21 when he got it prior to that at North, but not Harry Sheasel in a club that has won 12 matches in 4 seasons. Absolutely no. And we saw what happened with Melbourne in a similar state when they went down the path of Grimes and Trengove, destroyed them as players and people, I reckon, in terms of their standing within that footy club, and I reckon that would be the danger in doing that to Sheasel.
Luke Davies-Uniacke. Make him the captain, force him to stay.
Oh, well, you need to get a
If you want to do it for that reason, do you?
It's the worst reason to do it.
You can't leave him if you want him, mate. Oh, actually, Lee Colbert probably.
Joey, Tom Hawkins is the
And
most
Griffin.
well-credentialed decoy forward in history this season.
That's become fair dinkum. He's become the decoy. Yeah, 0 goals in 3 weeks. My understanding was it was a bit of a plan to take Jacob Wiedering out of the action and just keep him away and let the rest of the forwards do their thing. He's a pretty handy decoy to have in that forward line, and his time will come. He'll bob up and kick some goals, but he's no longer the Tom Hawkins of 5 years ago, but he's still important to that mix.
But what a special athlete and person that is to know that is going to be your outcome for the day, and to do it preparedly and with preparation maybe, and to be happy about it just for your club.
It's back on to Daisy's point about why the Cats are so good.
Yeah.
That's right.
Daisy, Joey Montagna will be the best footballer to grace the fields of Castlemaine since Dustin Martin.
That is 100% fair dinkum, and I cannot wait. We're hoping, and I just had a little bit of a chat outside, maybe send the Triple M call team down for that one if we can find a willing team to go along. But no, that is going to be fair dinkum. You'll be a star, Joey. Don't worry about that. You'll get the competitiveness. You will train up a little bit. You'll play through the midfield. You go forward. You'll kick me a handful.
Just need one highlight. I just need one highlight.
And hopefully it's not a Ben Mackay one.
Damo, I'm going to play a little bit of audio here.
Look at Tom just leaning on the post over there. Look at him shaking his head over there. You can't believe him. I don't know what he's even doing in here, but we might just get a quick chat with Tommy. Excuse me, Ollie, but Tom, what are you doing in these rooms? Stay here, Ol.
I'm a Port Adelaide legend.
You're sort of sitting over here like you're claiming some victory or something.
I am. I was a Port Adelaide legend. I built the foundations of this place.
Fair dinkum or Fugazi, Tom Rockcliffe is a Port Adelaide legend who built the foundations of that place.
Legend might be a stretch.
I call it for what it is, Damo. That's bullshit.
I'm loving Tommy at the moment. It's Fugazi, unfortunately, because of the way you've couched the question to me. But an important part of what they're now about.
He's the number one hanger-oner at the minute. Just see him at Live Golf, flogging on the photos. Come on, Tom.
We love him and he does
We
great
do
work
love-
for
we
us
do love Tom.
up in Brisbane. Finally, Daisy Thomas, the showdown brings out the best in Adelaide's players, but the worst in our Adelaide biased callers.
What a kick coming up. About 49 metres out, Jordan Dawson. 48 metres. Oh, it's kicked out. It's in.
He's kicked out! Oh, look at him. They're coming from everywhere.
Between that and the Sam Draper goal of the year, that was the cause of 16 internal emails about not piling into the cause. That is fair dinkum. Everybody goes full nuff in these big games. I can't actually. I'll be over there. I cannot wait to see the scenes in the stands. You talk about bringing out the best and worst in people. There's a large demographic of people who go full feral.
When you talk about being biased on calls, I read something during the week that one of our own was supposedly biased.
I heard that.
Someone time-coded a whole game of football.
Yes.
35 and 37
I think
comments.
there will be some people knowing what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
and in the Herald Sun.
Oh,
you
yeah.
mention if you want, Damo.
Yeah.
I think they said one of our people weren't biased, and then two
Actually,
of them were.
one wasn't.
Dars
Two of them
wasn't
were.
biased,
But to go
and
back
PT
over a
and
round
JB
of-
were biased. Even though Jake Kelly played an okay game in parts.
Just time-coded game for bias. Okay.
Who would record how much airtime they're getting, Damien?
Anyway, the showdown is tomorrow night. It's got to be an absolute cracker. We'll get your match predictions next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo. Big thanks to BWS for getting around Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Round 8 predictions. We're dubbing it Rivalry Round. Some huge games kicking off tomorrow night. It is the showdown, Adelaide versus Port Adelaide.
Yeah, and I'm giving the Crows a little sneaky chance in this one. This will be my outsider for the weekend. I've just done some numbers that I'll go with on 360 tonight. But Adelaide are just starting to get their offense flowing again after a horrible first 3 weeks. It's just starting to look like the offense of last season, and with a bit of a mix-up in the midfield and getting some young talent in there, they could, without Alir, maybe just catch Port Adelaide napping defensively and cause an upset.
Just give us one number before
Yeah,
you go
don't
on there
say
tonight.
I'll give you
Don't-
60. Come
Isaac
on.
Rankin going into the midfield has changed the way their forward line looks.
No, the last month, they're fourth in the competition for scores per entry. They're actually scoring when they go inside 50. Just got to get in there a little bit more, which I reckon you get a chance against Port Adelaide on the counter-attack.
Well,
and they're top 3 for moving the ball from D50 to inside 50 the last month as well. So
there you go.
Port Adelaide give you looks too, moving the ball.
I'm going for the Crows too, for probably different reasons to what Joey does. I didn't research it as greatly, but yeah, I like them. They're my outsider for the round, and I'm going for the Crows.
Oh, I'm going with the Crows as well. Alir, Sam Pepper, Connor Rosey, the question mark. If they play them,
They've
they're
declared
stupid.
him,
They're
but yeah,
playing
it's a
stupid.
risk, isn't it?
Surely he's a laid out. You can't risk someone with a hamstring of that talent and the way he plays. Radagalair, Zerk Thatcher against Tex, Rankin, Himmelberg, Fogarty, Rochelle. I think there's too much fast
Just got to
power.
get enough ball from them. You've got to match them in the midfield. Port Adelaide's midfield.
Rankin and Rochelle going through the midfield is a great look for them. And well done to Rory Sloane too, who hangs them up.
Yes, well done, Rory Sloane.
The rivalries continue on Friday night, Damo. Carlton versus Collingwood.
I don't know what the odds are on this, but I'm going for Carlton on this.
Favourites.
They are favourite,
Line
yeah.
goes up to
Marginally,
3.5.
yeah.
So they've lost
Gamble
the 2
responsibly.
games to this point. I liked what they did against Geelong without getting the points. I think there was enough to like out of it to think that they'll beat Collingwood.
I'm going with the Blues as well. If the Pies dish up what they did through the midfield against Essendon with Carlton, they will be having the ball in Carlton's forward line. There's too much firepower down there with Kerno Mackay. Minus 17 clearance, minus 9 centre clearance, and minus 21 contested possession against the Bombers. That is a shellacking through the midfield. We know how good Walsh, Cripps are going, chuck in Hewitt as well. I think the Blues in a close one.
Oh, looking forward to a pizza and a bottle of red watching this one Friday night.
Straight past BWS.
60 entries for Carlton. I agree. I thought Carlton took a step forward despite losing. Yes, defensively they can tighten that up. They're missing some personnel. But if they win that much centre clearance and ball in their front half and give those forwards looks, I think they'll beat
How
Collingwood.
good was the messaging from Voss post-game?
Yeah, loved it.
That is, okay, we're not playing for honourable losses. We don't play like that. Yeah, it might have been an entertaining game, but don't accept it anymore. This isn't us. Loved it.
It's 11:30 on a Wednesday, and no word on De Goey or Tom Mitchell either. So De Goey would be
Are
big
you
out
nervous,
for the Pies.
Rabsy? Are you
Not
nervous?
playing.
Yeah, I think they'll win convincingly, Carlton.
Really?
Yeah,
Convincingly?
I think they will.
Jesus, wash your mouth.
Daisy, the traditional Battle of the Bridge, or as Bill
good.
would call it, the Battle of the Bridge, or now the Sydney Derby. It is Sydney versus GWS.
Yeah, and again, an absolute 2nd v 3rd on the ladder. The Giants are flying. The Swans very good against Hawthorn, although some key numbers indicate it probably wasn't as good as we may have thought. -5 in clearance, -18 in contested possession. Only had 3 more inside 50s. against a better side, that isn't a 76-point win. The Giants are flying, as we know. They get Green back, Sam Taylor, Cornelio. I'm tipping the Giants in this one.
Someone's done his homework and brought all the stats to the table today for the midweek rub.
Don't
Watch
worry
out.
about watching any shows tonight.
I got one for you. This will be a shootout. The last 3 meetings between these teams have averaged 200 points combined. So I'm going for another shootout, the number 1 and 2 offense in the competition. Damo, I reckon they'll put on a clinic. It'll be a 90 to 100 point, but I'm going to go win to the Giants.
I'm going to go Giants. I'm going to go Swans, but there is no confidence in that selection.
Oh,
for the
12
reasons that
individual goal kickers for the Swans last week. Stats amazing.
Joey, St Kilda versus North Melbourne.
Yeah, they can't lose to North. They cannot lose to North. They won't lose to North. And if they do, my son's going to change teams. So they will not lose.
The Pies.
The Pies.
Yeah. Imagine how much you'll hate yourself.
We'll get that off record. Just take
Hold
that one
that
off.
bit of audio.
Saints will win.
Saints will win.
Jeez, I'm nervous now.
Yeah, Saints will win.
A traditional rivalry, Damo, the first ever game of Australian rules football, Melbourne versus Geelong.
I've got no reason to jump off Geelong. I like what Melbourne's doing. I really do. They've had 2 glitches amongst the 7, but I like what they've done outside of those 2 glitches. I love what Geelong's doing, and Joey and I are the only 2 people on them, Joey, by way of our punditry at the start of the year, and there's no reason to jump off just yet.
I'll bring the stats on everything except an inkling here that Geelong are due for a flat one. I'm tipping the Ds.
Yeah.
You could gut feel. This is gut feel.
Yeah. You could do that.
I agree. I'm going to go Melbourne. I think that Melbourne's best opportunity is if they can obliterate Geelong in the midfield. So Stanley's getting beaten. They might play Conway this week. We're not sure. No danger. And I think they've been just off a bit, Viney and Oliver in particular, the last few weeks. I reckon they'll get back to their best. They'll maul the Cats in the midfield, play it in their forward half, and they'll win, they'll win a low-scoring game, Melbourne.
Geelong's tall forwards and Melbourne's key backs. That's a really good matchup.
Yes.
Too.
And the former Jezza.
Got to have a
Goodness,
plan
he's a good player.
Oof.
West Coast versus Essendon. Harley Reid will be back.
Harley Reid is back. Elliot Yeo we're talking about, but Jake Waterman, my goodness.
The J-Train.
What a season he's having. 4 goals again on the weekend. I give West Coast some hope, but if Essendon produce what they did against the Pies, that intensity, that level of competitiveness, I think they can win this one.
Same reasons for me too, Bombers.
I'm starting to get sucked into the Bombers again. No, I'm getting sucked in that the Bombers might be real. So if they are the real deal, they just win this game. So I'm going to lean that way until they let me down again.
Richmond versus Fremantle, Damo.
Freo, quite easily.
Freo, yeah.
Freo.
What about Caleb Sarong last week, just quietly?
He's putting together one hell of a season.
Oh,
yep. He's
broke the record for clearances for the club.
Yep. 17. He's a Brownlow smoky.
And
You're not a Brownlow smoky, Brownlow favourite.
You found him for the club you work at.
And you tipped Geelong at the start of the year.
Yes.
Jeez, you're going well. The Bulldogs versus Hawthorn, Daisy.
Didn't listen to that. Bulldogs Hawthorn, was it?
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Honestly, Bulldogs could produce an absolute stinker and the Hawks could be competitive. They were horrible against Sydney on the weekend. I think they'll be better, but I'll tip the Bulldogs just because they've got a better list.
Same reasons again. You just couldn't tip Hawthorn after a 76-point loss to the Swans. I know the Dogs had a down game as well, but they'll get back Liberatore, you would think. So Bulldogs.
That's why the Dogs win this one. They had a down one last week. They win this one, and then they'll have a
again.
down one in a week or two.
No Chol and probably no Lewis again as well. Doesn't help the Hawks.
Yep.
Finally, the Q clash, Joey. Brisbane versus Gold Coast. This is going to be a ripper.
This will be a ripper. This is going to be another pizza and red wine night Sunday night. So I'll do it Friday and then again Sunday night. I'm giving Brisbane one more chance.
I think first crack on Sunday.
Oh yeah, the wait. Good one, Damo. Flattened me there. I'm giving Brisbane one more chance. They have to just find something. Teams can generally find. They did against Melbourne. I think they find something in this Q clash and keep their season alive.
Brisbane for me, with a bit of confidence, as weird as that sounds.
If I was the coach, I'd drop Joe Danaher and Eric Hipwood. Seriously,
Just play small ball.
Go full small
Rayner
ball.
and Charlie Cameron can do it.
Cameron, you got Link McCarthy down there as well. Kyle Oman.
But none of those guys are going well either.
Yeah, but
maybe
too much
they
ball goes to the big blokes. They command the ball and then do bugger all with it. Look, I'll give Brisbane one more chance, but I would not be shocked. I'll give Gold Coast my outsider of the week.
Well, you can catch every game live on Triple M and the Listen app, starting with the showdown tomorrow night, following the Thursday rub with Jay Clark, Isaac Smith, and Kate McCarthy. This has been Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Joey, Daisy, and Damo, thanks to BWS.